Hey there, and welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nick. Glad you're here with us. Today, we want to talk about a phrase we hear far too often: I'm bad at English. And if you've ever said that to yourself, this episode is especially for you.
Because let's be honest, it's easy to fall into that mindset. You make a grammar mistake, you forget a word, someone doesn't understand your accent, and suddenly you're thinking, I'm just bad at this. But here's the thing, that's not true. You're not bad at English. You're still learning.
Exactly. And learning something new, especially a language, isn't a linear path. It's not a straight road with signs that say, now you're fluent, or you've failed. It's messy. It has ups and downs. That's not failure, that's the process.
And here's a truth we want you to remember. Struggling with English doesn't mean you're bad at it. It means you're doing the work. Struggling means you're showing up. It means you're brave enough to try. That's not weakness. That's growth.
I mean, think about it. Would you ever say a baby is bad at walking just because they keep falling? No, you'd say they are learning. You'd encourage them. You'd celebrate every step, even the wobbly ones. So why don't we do the same for ourselves when learning English?
That comparison is spot on. Language learning is full of wobbly steps. And when you call yourself bad, you're not just being hard on yourself, you're actually getting in the way of your own progress. Because shame shuts us down. Encouragement keeps us moving.
And the words we use to describe ourselves matter. Saying, I'm bad at English, doesn't just describe a feeling, it shapes your identity. But saying, I'm learning English, tells a different story. One with hope. One with momentum. One that gives you permission to grow.
And let's not forget, every single person who's fluent in English now had to go through the uncomfortable stage of not being fluent. No one wakes up one day magically knowing all the words, the grammar rules, the idioms. We all start with confusion.
And some of the people you think of as fluent probably still have doubts. They still pause mid-sentence. They still get nervous. But the difference is, they keep going. They don't let those moments define their worth.
And that's really the heart of today's message. You don't need to be perfect to be progressing. You don't need flawless pronunciation to be heard. And you definitely don't need to call yourself bad to stay motivated. In fact, you'll probably move faster if you stop doing that.
Because what you say about yourself becomes your belief. So let's change that narrative. From, I'm bad at English, to, I'm working on it. From, I can't speak fluently, to, I'm getting better every day. That shift in mindset isn't just about feeling good, it actually helps you learn more effectively.
Yes, because when you give yourself space to be a learner, you take the pressure off. You become more open to feedback. You try more. You speak more. And that's how confidence grows, not by waiting until you're perfect, but by speaking even when you're not.
So next time you catch yourself saying, I'm bad at English, pause. Replace it with something kinder. Something more honest. You're not bad. You're not failing. You're simply in the middle of becoming.
And honestly, being in the middle of something, that's a powerful place to be. It means you haven't given up. It means you're still curious, still showing up, still investing in yourself. That matters more than perfection ever could.
And let's talk about how the people around you can influence that belief. If you're surrounded by people who always correct you harshly or laugh when you make a mistake, it's easy to shrink back. But their reaction doesn't define your ability. It reflects their lack of understanding about what real learning looks like.
That's such a good point. And also, native speakers make mistakes all the time. We mix up words, forget how to spell things, lose our train of thought mid-sentence. So it's totally unfair to expect non-native speakers to perform flawlessly.
It really is. But I get it, when you're learning, you can feel like every mistake is a spotlight. Like everyone notices. But most of the time, people are just happy you're trying. They are not judging your grammar, they're impressed that you're even speaking a second language.
And if they are judging you, then maybe they're not the kind of people whose opinions deserve space in your head. The right people will see the effort, not the errors. They'll value the courage it takes to speak, not the number of words you know.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, when learners say, I'm bad at English, what they really mean is, I'm afraid of not being understood. Or, I'm afraid of sounding silly. And that's real. That fear is real. But so is your progress.
And so is your right to take up space in the conversation, even if your sentences aren't perfect yet. Even if your vocabulary is limited. Even if your accent is strong. You deserve to be part of the dialogue, just as you are.
Language is for connection, not competition. It's not a test you pass or fail, it's a bridge. And every word you learn is another brick in that bridge. Even the small words. Even the mistakes. Especially the mistakes.
Especially the mistakes. They are how we grow. They are how we remember. They are how we build resilience. So the next time you make one, don't say I'm bad. Say, I'm learning. Say, that was a step forward. Because it was.
And maybe even say it out loud, I'm proud of myself for trying. It might feel weird at first, but self-encouragement is like exercise, it gets easier the more you do it. And eventually, it becomes your default voice.
And that voice is what will carry you further than any grammar rule ever could. It'll keep you going when things feel hard. It'll remind you of why you started. It'll make the journey feel possible.
Because it is possible. You're doing it. Every single time you choose to keep learning, even when it feels slow, even when no one sees, you're proving that you're not bad at English. You're just brave enough to keep showing up.
And the truth is, showing up matters more than getting it right every time. You might not notice it, but every word you listen to, every sentence you try to build, even every time you struggle to explain yourself, it all adds up. It's not wasted. It's building something.
Yeah, it's like learning to swim. At first, it's just splashing around, trying to stay afloat. It doesn't feel graceful. But over time, your strokes get stronger. You trust the water more. You don't always see the progress day to day, but suddenly one day, you realize you've swum across the pool.
And with English, sometimes the only sign that you've grown is that what once scared you doesn't scare you as much anymore. Maybe before, you avoided speaking to strangers. And now, you ask for directions. You order your coffee. That's massive. That's growth.
But if you're always saying, I'm bad at English, it's like you're closing your eyes to that progress. You're focusing on what's missing, rather than what's already there. And what's already there is enough to keep going.
There's a quote I really love, it says, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. And in language learning, that hits hard. You might be comparing your journey to someone who's been practicing for years, or who lives in an English-speaking country, or who's had more chances to speak. That doesn't make you behind. It just means your path looks different.
And different doesn't mean less. Some people speak fluently but don't write well. Others can read books but feel shy speaking out loud. All of that is part of learning. You don't have to be good at every skill to be doing well.
And you don't need to earn the right to call yourself an English speaker. If you use English, even just a little bit, you're allowed to say, I speak English. That identity isn't only for the fluent. It's for the learners too.
Definitely. And I think claiming that identity, saying, I'm an English speaker, can actually boost your confidence. It helps you see yourself differently. Not as someone who's failing, but as someone who's evolving.
And maybe instead of saying, I'm bad at English, you can try saying something more honest like, English is challenging, but I'm improving, or I'm still learning, and that's okay. It's a subtle shift, but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. It gives you space to make mistakes without feeling ashamed. And that space? That's where real progress happens. That's where you feel safe enough to actually try, and when you try more, you learn more.
So even if you're at the very beginning, even if you feel stuck, even if your words come out slower than you want them to, please don't say you're bad. Say you're in it. Say you're learning. Say you're brave. Because you are.
That bravery shows up in small ways, opening your mouth when your mind wants to freeze, sending a message in English even though you're second-guessing every word, choosing to listen to a podcast or read an article instead of just giving up. These moments look small, but they are huge.
Exactly. And those choices matter so much more than getting the tense exactly right, or having a perfect accent. You're building habits. You're forming connections in your brain. And you're building the kind of patience and self-trust that'll carry you through not just language learning, but life.
Yeah, I think the way we talk to ourselves while learning a language becomes the way we talk to ourselves in other areas too. If you can learn to speak kindly to yourself here, to say, it's okay that I don't know this yet, you'll start doing that in other tough moments too.
And that's what makes this journey beautiful. It's not just about verbs and vocabulary. It's about learning to believe in yourself again. To keep going, even when your brain tells you you're not good enough. To reframe your inner voice from I'm bad to I'm trying.
Because trying is enough. Trying is how fluency happens. Not magically. Not overnight. But one brave attempt at a time. Every sentence you build, every new word you use, every mistake you survive, it all counts.
And maybe you don't feel fluent yet. Maybe you're still translating in your head, or hesitating before you speak. But that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're on the path. And being on the path is a powerful place to be.
So next time you feel tempted to say, I'm bad at English, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is that really true, or am I just being hard on myself? Because chances are, you're doing so much better than you think.
And someone else, listening to you, might already be inspired by how far you've come. They might wish they were as brave as you. You just haven't noticed it yet. Sometimes, we're the last to see our own progress.
That's the thing. It's quiet progress. It's not always obvious. But it's happening. So keep showing up. Keep speaking. Keep learning. Even on the days when it feels like nothing's working, something always is.
Language learning is slow magic. But it's magic all the same. And you're not bad at it, you're just still unfolding. Keep going.
And unfolding takes time. It's not supposed to be fast. No flower rushes to bloom, no tree grows overnight. So why should your English?
Exactly. We expect so much of ourselves sometimes. Like we should already be confident, already be fluent, already be using perfect grammar. But what if you gave yourself permission to be exactly where you are?
Because where you are is valid. Struggling with English doesn't mean you're not smart. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means this is a process, and you're in the middle of it.
And the middle is messy. It always is. But the middle is where the strength builds. It's where you learn to keep going, even without a clear sign that it's working. It's where most people give up, but you haven't.
You've stuck with it. Through the awkward conversations, through the grammar that didn't make sense, through the frustration. That says something about you. It says you're committed. That you care.
And that's something to be proud of. You're not bad at English. You're just still growing into it. And maybe, just maybe, if you looked back at who you were when you started, you'd be surprised by how far you've actually come.
It's funny how we forget that part, isn't it? We look ahead and see how far there is to go, but we don't turn around and appreciate the mountain we've already climbed.
So maybe today's the day you stop saying you're bad at this. Maybe today's the day you say, I'm still learning, and that's enough. Maybe that small shift is the most powerful thing you can do.
Yeah. If there's one thing you take away from this, let it be that you're not bad at English. You're learning. You're showing up. You're trying. And that already makes you someone worth listening to.
Thanks for spending time with us today. If this reminded you to be a little kinder to yourself, we're glad. You deserve that kindness, not just from others, but from yourself too.
And remember, progress isn't loud. It's quiet. It's slow. But it's real. Keep going, even when it doesn't feel like much is changing. You're becoming more fluent than you know.
This is the British Accent Podcast, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, speak softly to yourself. You're doing better than you think.